Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Welcome back. Now, across Nigeria, correctional service centers are overcrowded, and with reports showing that a large percentage of these inmates are pre-trial detainees, that's people who are awaiting trial, sometimes for years without conviction. And this has raised a lot of concerns about human rights, justice delivery, and democracy. Alongside this debate as well is on whether inmates, particularly those not yet convicted, should have the right to vote and participate in Nigeria's democratic process. And so we're going to be talking about that. With us in the studio this morning is Barrister Wilson Niji. He is the head legal unit Carmelite Prisoners Interest Organization, CAPIO, to look at inmates' voting rights and rising cases of pretrial persons in Nigeria Correctional Service Centers. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers. Stay tuned.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the percentage, I mean, over 70% of inmates, according to reports, suggest that, correctional inmates in Nigeria Correctional Service Centers are awaiting trial. What factors would you say contribute to this high number of pretrial detainees?
Well, from my work experience, I will tell you for free that some of the factors that have contributed to the high number of pre-trial detainees, these are persons. Ordinarily, the law say they are not criminals yet. They are innocent citizens. One is fear on the part of the judiciary, judges and magistrates, who seemingly are afraid or not willing to put the law to work, to use the law, because we have good laws. The laws have said when somebody comes to court as a suspect, you can grant him bail. Even the police have the powers given to them by law to release suspects on bail. But what do we find? We find the use of imprisonment as a tool of power, as a tool for punishment, as a tool, of war, where you find persons suspected for committing petty crimes thrown into prison, thrown into jail. That is one. And why? That's what I'm saying. Fear on the part of the judiciary, made up of judges and magistrates, because the law has allowed you to release these persons on bail. You have a choice to say, go home and come back. Let's find out. Let's try you to know whether you're guilty or not. But rather, we see where most courts, most magistrates and judges prefer to remand, to send these persons to prison, no matter the nature of the offense, whether it is serious, whether it's trivial, whether it's minor, whether it's just sometimes even civil disagreements are criminalized and persons are sent to jail. Two, our system, our legal system in Nigeria causes a lot of delays in criminal trials, in criminal prosecutions. So you find a suspect, a defendant, who ordinarily could have been tried within a month, within 2 months, within 3 months. He is kept in prison, and for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, he is not tried. And you find persons whose the punishment for the offense for which has been sent to prison is maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years. For instance, stealing. The law says when somebody is found guilty for stealing, you can punish him with imprisonment for 3 years or an option of fine. But you find where somebody is charged with the offense of stealing and sent to prison, and he is there for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, not yet found guilty, not yet pronounced guilty, not yet found a criminal. And you begin to ask, the punishment is 3 years. He is awaiting trial in prison at the custodial center for 4 years, for 5 years, still awaiting trial for an offense. If found guilty, he would have stayed for 3 years. So you find the delays in our legal system causing this high number of awaiting trial persons in custody. Then number 3, we have inadequate number of magistrates and judges. From my work experience in Enugu State, for instance, where we are, we have about 20, 21, 22 judges. And if you go to each court, you have each court dealing with almost 1,000 cases. Tell me, if you are the judge, how long will it take you to deal with 1,000 cases? How long will it take you to deal with 500 cases? Just you. And it costs across 20. So you can create a picture in your mind of having 20 persons to deal with thousands of cases that come daily. So we find insufficient number of judges and magistrates also contributing to the high number of awaiting trial persons in custody, because they're not enough. So a case comes to court, the magistrate or the judge has to deal with 20 cases a day, 15 cases a day. He had to move it up. He had to adjourn. He had to give it a new date. Maybe 2 months up, a month up, 3 months up, 6 months up. You could imagine that we are now, today is the 3rd day of September 2025. But I tell you, there are courts who have adjourned cases to April 2026, March 2026, February 2026. And we are in September. And these adjournments were, some of them happen in June, in July. So tell me what is going to happen, how long it's going to take to deal with that case. A case is adjourned to March 2026 in June 2025. Over 6 months. So these are some of the factors that contribute to delays and the high and the crazy number of awaiting trial persons. Also, on the part of the Nigerian Correctional Service, they have always complained about logistics, vehicles, security concerns. Of course, we are all aware of the security concerns in our environment, in our nation, in the states. And so, for some time, they have refused to move suspect inmates in custody to any court outside of Enugu metropolis. And this has contributed a lot to the increasing number of awaiting trial persons in custody, not just in Enugu State, but across several states.
All right. Now we know that Capio has actually pushed community services, but how does enfranchising inmates translate to decongestion and easy trials?
Disenfranchising as in the ability
Enfranchising.
Okay, because if you allow them to enjoy these rights, first of all, you need to understand that when somebody is put in custody, he's not yet a criminal. It's not a punishment. The court has just said, okay, you stay here so that we can try you. We are not sure if we're going to see you, if we'll let you go home. So stay at the custodial center.
Okay.
That order made by the court for these persons to stay in custody, to be remanded in prison custody, doesn't take away any other right the Constitution has given to them. Why is it important to allow them exercise their franchise just like any other person, and not just the right to vote and be voted for, but also other rights given to them by the Constitution? It's important for us to know at this point that the law, the Constitution that said, that created the court, that created these offenses, that created the punishment of these offenses, has also said nobody is a criminal and should be treated as a criminal or as a bad person until the court pronounces him guilty. In other words, every suspect, every defendant, every awaiting trial person in custody or at home is presumed, it's seen to be innocent until the court says otherwise. If we follow that, it means that they have the right to vote. They have the right to enjoy every other thing we enjoy. The difference is that they are kept in a confined environment, in an enclosed environment where their movement is restricted.
Which leads me to ask you, if these people are innocent until proven guilty, and so are free to exercise their rights even though they are in a confined space,
yes,
why is it that most of these pretrial detainees are generally excluded when it comes to things like voting, because the voting exercise is done, but it seems it's not taken to them, for them to also exercise that right of theirs.
That is why Capio is pushing for this right to be given to them, because the number is important. If we look at the number of awaiting trial persons in custody, is huge. Over 70% of all inmates in custody. This is over 70,000. We're looking at 60, 70,000 persons. And you and I know from election results, from past elections conducted by INEC, we have seen the margin of victory 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. That is the margin, because the law says the aspirant with the highest number of votes. So the difference could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, could be 1,000, 2, 3. That is to say, if these inmates are allowed to vote, their number is such that can make a difference in any election, whether it is in the state or national elections. The number is huge. For instance, if we look at the Enugu Custodial Center at Old Park, Enugu, we have about 3,000 inmates. Of these 3,000 inmates, less than 1,000 are convicts. It means over 2,000 are awaiting trial persons. That number alone is enough to make a difference in any election. So why wouldn't you allow them to exercise this right that the law had given them? And like the NBA will say, promoting the rule of law. The law is such that we must allow the law govern us. It's not where we pick and choose the law we like, the one we want to implement, and the one we don't like, we behave as if it doesn't exist. No, we must follow the law and do what the law have said. Otherwise, we won't have a good, decent society.
All right, very Stanley. I think we have to leave it here because we're actually running out of time. But there is so much to talk about, and we look forward to having you again some other time to, expand more on this conversation. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Look forward to coming back again.
Yeah. Thank you. Now we know that the supremacy of law is the most important thing right now in the Constitution. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we're going to be moving over to Political Circle with Luke Mbo. Do stay with us.
We are local.
The international community is observing
When the main market is in chaos, people are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye. We have taken it by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.